Thank you so much, Jane, and welcome everyone to our SQL Server 2016 webcast on Soaring to New Heights. I am so excited that you are all joining us today for this time together. And as I introduce Onur Dogruoz, he is with our what we call our TS2 team. It's part of our U.S. small and mid-sized business group, and he's one of our technical strategists within that team. So before I hand it over to Onur, I just want to remind you of our giveaway for today. You won't find out if you're the winner until after the webcast, so you'll want to stay tuned throughout the entire webcast to ensure that you qualify for that. And as you'll see on the screen today, the sweepstakes includes a gift of a Lenovo ThinkPad Yoga 460 2-in-1 laptop, and you'll be notified if you are the winner after the webcast. So, Onur, I'll transfer it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mel. And good morning and good afternoon to everyone. I hope you're all having a great day, and thank you so much for joining us for today's webcast. I'm very excited to have this opportunity to talk about the SQL Server 2016, and I'll try to give you a brief overview of some of the key capabilities that we are delivering with this release. Here's a quick look at today's flow. Before going into the SQL Server 2000 capabilities, I just want to use a little time to give you a very quick update on what's happening in the market. And then, again, a very quick licensing update, as we don't really have too much change from licensing perspective. And we'll be diving into the key investment areas in SQL Server. And, of course, we'll have demos of some key capabilities along the way. And finally, we wrap up with some resources for you. And we have a lot to cover for today, for sure. So if you look at well, actually, before going into the market, we have another poll question. So which version of SQL Server is your organization currently running? We have 2014, 2012, 2008, 2005 or older as the options, or if you're running a different platform, you can select it from the options, and I'll give you a couple seconds to answer that. Seconds. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, so I think with this audience, I don't really think we really need to have a deep dive on the importance of having a robust data platform. So I'd like to quickly share some key insights from the latest IDC and Gartner reports that we have. We all know that this data is continuing to grow exponentially, and so is the data consumption. Specifically, the self-service BI is growing 2.5 times faster than traditional tools. IDC and Gartner reports suggest that IT continues to evaluate the cloud, but looking for vendor consolidation. And the way organizations buy shifts from a centralized to a more decentralized buying scheme. No matter if your organization is ready to move to the cloud or still using the primarily on-premises deployments, we, as Microsoft, can help. With SQL Server 2016, we can improve the performance, security, and availability of the databases, deliver self-service BI capabilities, and we can help you consolidate vendors and give you an easy path on your way to the cloud. And you'll see throughout this conversation that we are making huge investment in these areas, so you can tap into the huge benefits. Quick update on the licensing and edition lineup. As you know, with the SQL Server 2014, we had 4 main editions: Enterprise, Business Intelligence, Standard, and Express editions. With SQL Server 2016, we're actually retiring the Business Intelligence edition and consolidate to 3 main editions, which is basically providing further simplification in our edition lineup. These will be Express, Standard, and Enterprise editions. And Express edition will continue to be free and will give you the basic SQL capabilities. Standard editions deliver the core data management and business intelligence capabilities, and Enterprise Edition is, of course, for comprehensive, high-end capabilities for demanding database and business intelligence requirements, and will include all SQL Server capabilities that we have in the market today. From the feedback we got from our previous webcast, there are a lot of questions about the edition lineup, the features in each edition, and specifically around the new standard edition capabilities. So I'll try to focus more on the standard edition capabilities, and I'll call out the enterprise-only features when we see that. Before going into the details in each area, I think it's important to note that the first key message that proves our differentiation from the competition is that we are building everything into the SQL code. And we have a proven track record of all the way from the SQL Server 2008 to 2012 to 2016 of continuing to add the tremendous value to what you're already buying. For many of these new capabilities we are going to talk about, our competition either sells them as a separate add-on SKU or they don't even have them yet. As we saw in the polling questions, many of you have older versions of the SQL Server deployed in your environment, including 2005 or 2008. So we want you to know that the SQL Server has evolved in a big way, and I'm pretty sure that at the end of this presentation you'll agree with me on that. And if you look at these 5 pillars, these are the 5 key reasons why you should consider looking into 2016 version. If you look back to like 2005 version, it was mainly designed for basic OLTP, and people use it primarily for the departmental workloads. It had some reporting, but that was about it. The SQL Server today has expanded in a big way. It's not just an OLTP database anymore, and it's with the latest, if you look at the latest Gartner Magic Quadrant, actually we are in the leader space. So we are leading everyone in terms of vision and in terms of the execution. In terms of security, we believe it's the most secure database out in the market, and we'll talk about why we feel that way in the next couple slides. And when it comes to data warehousing, we used to be only do small data marts in the SQL Server versions. Today, we have very, very big companies like NASDAQ who are just using SQL for their data warehousing needs. So that's a tremendous value coming out of the Enterprise Edition. Business intelligence is an area which everyone gave us a lot of feedback, so we invested in a big way in 2016 version. We have done a complete overhaul of all the backend tools, including reporting services and analysis services. And on top of that, we are delivering an end-to-end mobile BI solution that works on Windows phones, iOS devices, Android devices. And the beauty is these applications works either online or offline. It doesn't matter. If you're connected, you'll have the ability to view your reports with the new capabilities. So unlike the point solutions from our competitors, it's a comprehensive solution, and when you look at the total value that SQL Server is delivering, it's truly at a fraction of the cost of our competitors. The other thing is in memory. That's a buzzword and has been around for the last couple of years. When you use SQL Server, especially the Enterprise Edition, you get in-memory capabilities and you get it optimized for every workload. You see that all the way from the OLTP workloads to the advanced analytics, including the data warehousing. It's also important to note that only Microsoft can provide a consistent experience from on-premises to the cloud. So now let's switch the gears a little bit and look at some hero capabilities that we are delivering in the SQL Server 2016. Again, specifically around the standard edition, we have the increased performance and scale. We now support 24 cores and 128 gigabytes of memory in standard edition, which is considerably higher than the older versions. And for more demanding workloads, of course, we always have the Enterprise Edition, which will support the operating system maximums for both CPU and the memory side. So you can basically use terabytes of memory and lots of cores for your databases if you go with the Enterprise Edition. But for those who are on the older versions especially, you'll be getting a lot of performance improvement right out of the gate with this improvement. The second area that I would like to talk about is the temporal tables. This is a brand new capability in SQL Server 2016, and this is designed to be the ultimate productivity tool for developing or migrating applications that provide insights from the historical data. Temporal tables allow you to track the full history of changes without additional code and let you focus on your data analysis on a specific point in time in a very simple and efficient way. Temporal tables can be used in a wide set of scenarios when you need to track data history. A very common scenario is the data audits. You can turn on the system versioning for tables that store critical information, and you can track changes when and by which user. Using temporal tables will also allow you to perform data audit transparently without breaking any existing applications. You can also use this feature to construct the state of your data at any point in time in the past, compare data from multiple moments side by side, and perform trend analysis for important business indicators. Another great use case can be the repairing record level corruptions. You can perform the finest level of data repair in case of a corruption made either by a human or application. And the affected portion of the data can be restored to last good known state very precisely without really dealing with backups or introducing downtime to your application. So that's a great feature that's coming in 2016, and it's also available in the standard edition. The other improvement that we have around the standard edition specifically is we have the improved basic high availability. We used to always have the like active, passive, two-node clustering capabilities, but now with the SQL Server 2016 release, we are introducing this new concept of the always-on basic high availability options in standard edition. So you can create basically a non-readable synchronous replica of your exact database, so that will prevent any data loss in your environment. So if you lose your primary server, you'll have 100% of your data on the second side without any issues, and it will allow you to automatically fail over, and it doesn't require any shared storage. So there are lots of advantages with this new high availability approach. With the Enterprise Edition, of course, you'll get the full always-on capabilities with multiple readable secondaries and asynchronous replication options. So you can build your disaster recovery solution, you can build your high availability solution, and also kind of your reporting solution in one simple setup. You can also offload your reports backups to the secondaries instead of using your primary server. So that's the additional capability that you'll be getting when you go with the Enterprise Edition. From a security perspective, as I mentioned before, it's always one of the key investment areas in the SQL Server releases. If you look at the graph here, it shows you the number of vulnerabilities per vendor per year. And SQL Server has been the least vulnerable database for the last 6 years in a row. With SQL Server, you have the least risk of exposure, basically. We have technologies available both at the infrastructure and at the database level that have landed us in this #1 spot. And we give you great tools to protect your data, control access, and monitor the activity. When it comes to protecting the data, with SQL Server 2016 Standard Edition specifically, we are releasing new technologies that further increase security, called row-level security and dynamic data masking, and I'm going to talk about them on the next slides. On top of these features, again, if you go with the Enterprise Edition, we'll give you a new technology called Always Encrypted, which encrypts and protects data while in motion and while at rest. So, talking about the role-level security, to satisfy the compliance standards, internal regulations, or basic security principles, applications often need to limit the user's access to only certain rows of data in a database. For example, a healthcare application might restrict a doctor's access to patient data based on the doctor's staffing assignments, or you might want to restrict your salespeople to add or update or delete customer information that's out of their territory. Traditionally, our customers have implemented their row-level access logic using SQL views or customized application code. But these workarounds can introduce problems. Views are decentralized, prone to errors, and difficult to maintain during application upgrades. And customized application code is not only difficult to maintain as your code base grows, but it's also impossible in some scenarios where you don't own the application. So this new feature, which is coming in SQL Server 2016, and also available for the Azure SQL database, solves these problems by centralizing your access logic within the database. So to start with the first demo, let's see row-level security in action. So we're in the SQL Server Management Studio, and I'm connected to the database as the database admin. And we have a table of the customers here. If we execute the query, you can see I have the first name, last name, email address, phone number, and the territory ID assigned to each customer. I also have the customer ID column. And then we also have a different table called the employee table, where we have basically created two sales reps, and we created user logins for these sales reps, and we assign territory IDs to them. So what we want to see is basically we want to let sales rep 1, which is assigned to territory 4, to only be able to see the assigned territory, nothing else. Right now, if we go back and switch to the Excel really quick here and try to query this database as the sales rep 1, I'll just connect to the SQL Server database here. It's on the local server, and we'll put the database name in. Also RLS demo, and we'll do the exact same select start query. So we'll be basically querying the whole database, the customer table, and I'll be connecting as the sales rep 1, since we have different logins here. And there's no RLS implemented right now, right? And if you look at the query results, you can see I'm seeing the exact same results as the database owner. So there's no filtering, nothing going on. It's all available to me, so I can basically work on all these different roles. If we go back to our SQL Server Management Studio and try to implement the RLS, as a best practice, we first create a schema for this for the RLS, and then we create the function. And in this function, we are basically saying the username and the territory ID needs to match the role. So if these two things are matching, just show the results to the user, and we're passing that territory ID as a function. And we also have, of course, we're looking that up from the employee table that I showed you before. And we also have this pass-through for the database owner so they can see all the results, basically. So if you run this query on the SQL Server, as you see, it's a very, very quick implementation. And then we just need to create this predicates to filter and block these different records. So now if I go back to Excel and do the exact same query again, so refresh the query, you'll see as a sales rep 1, I'm seeing only the customers who are assigned to my territory, which is the territory number 4. So with just a couple simple functions, all in SQL Server Management Studio, right, we implemented the role-level security for the sales rep, and now I can be sure that the sales rep cannot see any other records and cannot change anything on the other territories. Another very exciting capability on the security side is the dynamic data masking. We know that data privacy is a major concern for any organization that manages the sensitive data, or PII. Examples of such data include the sensitive customer information, such as phone numbers, email addresses, social security numbers, bank information, HR data on employees, and financial business data. And this sensitive information is so often stored in the database, and it should only be available to specific people on a need-to-know basis. Beyond that need, the sensitive data should not be exposed via application or to developers or to IT personnel who access the production database directly. The SQL Server 2016 Standard Edition, and also, again, Azure SQL Database, the platform as a service option, now offer this as a built-in feature. The dynamic data masking can be used to hide or obfuscate sensitive data by controlling how the data appears in the output of the database queries. Like the row-level security that I showed you in the previous demo, it's implemented within the database itself, so the logic is centralized and always applies when the sensitive data is queried. Best of all, it's incredibly simple to configure DDM rules on the sensitive fields, which can be done on an existing database without affecting any database operations or requiring changes in your application code. So let's see this in action in the demo. We are looking here, we are looking at a sample CRM application where we have, again, some customer names, first name, last name, city, state, email address, and phone numbers. And as you see, they're all in plain text now. And if you don't have any dynamic data masking in place, of course, that's what you'll be getting. But when we implement the dynamic data masking, we want to basically mask some of these fields so the users, depending on their level, can see whatever they need to see. So let's switch to the SQL Server Management Studio, and I'm connected as the database admin again, and I can just query this exact same database. So you see we'll have the all same fields here, and it's exact same records. Again, the full customer details we have here. And we have 4 different default masks that we have included in the SQL Server 2016. We're going to do this on the last name column, and we'll be using the default function in the SQL Server 2016. So if you run this function, it will basically just replace the last name column and show the user. If I refresh the application really quick here, as you can see, it only shows XXX to the user. It's just hiding all that information from the user. The second function I want to touch on is the email mask. Again, this is a built-in function as well. So if we do the email function on an email column, it basically masks the most part of the email, but still reveals the @ and .com. So it can be understood that it's an email address. And we run that right now. So if we go back to the CRM application and refresh, as you can see, the email column is now masked. So we are not revealing that. The third type is the partial function, which basically allows you to format how you mask a certain field. In this case, we are looking at the phone field, and we'll be revealing the first 2 digits on the phone and the last 2 digits of the phone, and we'll be putting this placeholder text in the middle, so we can understand that it's a phone number. And back to the application, refresh. As you see, it's all masked now. And the fourth and last built-in function is the random function. It basically, if you have an integer column, it basically adds a random number for your integer column. In this case, we can assign it to the customer ID column. And if you go back to the application, and refresh the application, you can see the customer ID column is now replaced with the random number generated out of that function. So the key thing here to note is, again, with just a couple lines of code in the SQL Server Management Studio, I was able to add the dynamic data masking, like RLS. I was able to add the dynamic data masking to my environment, and I have nothing changed on the application side. The query is exactly the same. The application is exactly the same. Everything is centralized in the SQL Server, and we are managing it through that way. And let's switch the gears a little bit here and have a look at the all-new SQL Server reporting services. In this release, reporting services completely overhauled. And you can easily create modern and pixel-perfect page-generated reports. We provide modern themes and styles with new font colors and modern styles for visualizations to help you create modern reports. We also deliver additional chart types to visualize data in new ways, such as Sunburst or TreeMaps. Report Builder is also updated and sporting a new modern look and feel. And while those who prefer Visual Studio integrated report design environment, you can now develop reports in Visual Studio 2015 as well. And with the optional integration with Microsoft Power BI, Cloud Analytics Service, you can also harness your data, the on-premises data, to the cloud. Business users can pin reports and the different elements of the reports to their dashboards in the Power BI, and they'll be able to monitor the most important metrics and the trends at a glance in one place in the Power BI. And the original reports you created will remain just one click away, and you can still drill through the details when necessary. So again, let's have a quick look at the new reporting services interface. So as you see, it's completely overhauled, and if you're familiar with the previous interface, it will look very different and modern to you. We have KPIs, mobile reports, PageNet reports. They're all on this first page. And like in the previous versions, in the older versions of the SSRS, we have that folder structure on top of the page, so you can put your data sources, data sets to different folders, or you can maybe create different folders for different departments. And if you look at the reports that we have, the new reports, they're very fast, looking very crisp and clean. And more importantly, we're also supporting multiple browsers. So if we switch to the Chrome now and run the same report here, you'll see exact same result because it's all based on HTML5. So there's no, it's all standard. And the mobile reports are a big piece. And if you look at the mobile reports, they're all touch optimized. There's no scroll bars or anything, so they're not paginated, right? And it's all touch optimized. And depending on the size of the screen, they'll adjust them automatically. So if I make it a little bit smaller, you'll see it will still have the perfect layout. And if we have a maybe small screen, like a smartphone screen, you see the report itself updates automatically and change the chart size. And here you see in a big screen, maybe in a landscape type of orientation, we have things side by side with a little bit more detail. And when we get things smaller, it automatically updates and adjusts the view for the optimal view. So if we go back to the home page, we also have the KPIs pinned to the home page, so you can see what's happening in your environment at a glance without even going into the reports. And if you have any favorites, you can of course favorite them and put it in your favorites tab. So if we switch to the iPad as an example, we have the Power BI application for the iPad or iPhones, so for the iOS devices. And as you see, I have the exact same KPIs when I launch the application. And if I hit on the mobile reports page and open up one report, I'll have the exact same native experience for that report, and I can interact with the report directly within the application. In the landscape orientation, again, I'll have an optimized view. The report will be completely responsive, and if you change the orientation again, it will go back to its normal stage. So I can quickly consume all these reports on my iOS devices or the Android devices for that matter. And one thing to note here is these mobile reports are running natively on the iPad. And first time you connect to your data sources, we're basically syncing them to the device. So it doesn't matter if you're online or offline, you'll have access to these reports, and you'll be able to glance through your data and do some analysis, basically. Now, let's talk about some of the innovative hybrid scenarios that can complement your on-premises SQL Server investments. Stretch database is one of these unique hybrid scenarios that only Microsoft provides and can be extremely valuable in your data strategy. We know your old OLTP databases are growing rapidly, and you need to think about how to cost-effectively manage your data. And more importantly, you need to think about what you're doing with your historical data, whether you want it to go offline onto tape or remain online. As we know, when data goes to tape, it's not queryable anymore. So you may be missing a lot of information from that historical data. But what if you wanted that historical data at your fingertips and at the same time didn't want to have it reside on your premium storage with your hot data because it's too costly? With the stretch database, we can solve that problem in this hybrid type of scenario. Without modifying your app, you can now stretch your database to Azure, and you don't even have to do any heavy lifting to make this work. You just have to set the policy you want to apply on the historical data and the run query as you normally would. SQL Server will automatically understand if the table has been stretched, and it will retrieve the data from Azure. The other thing to note is this technology does not impact the performance of your writes on the same table, right? It doesn't matter if it's being stretched or it's already stretched or it's all on-prem. The write performance will be exactly the same as a part of the design. And Stretch Database offers a great value prop in terms of saving you money and providing easy access to your historical customer data, so you can improve customer experiences without requiring any application modifications. This is just one example of how cloud-first innovation allows us to deliver new hybrid scenarios that our competitors simply cannot deliver or haven't even thought of. And let's see the Stretch database in action as well. And again, it's available in the SQL Server Management Studio. You don't need any third-party tools or anything like that. You just right-click on your database and go to the tasks. And in the tasks, you'll see the stretch, and we'll do the enable. And this wizard window will pop up. It will basically walk us through everything. We just need to provide a database credential password for our databases. And we'll just need to select the table that we want to stretch. It's all table-based. You don't have to select all the tables you have in your database. And there will be a quick validation as with any Microsoft wizards. And when we hit next, we'll have to basically sign into our Azure subscription. Here we have a subscription already in place. I can either create a new server for this specific table, or I can select an existing server. And we have all the Azure regions available, of course, in the dropdown. So in this case, we'll select an existing server from the West US data center that we have. And we'll provide the login information for the Azure SQL database. And if you want, you can also configure your firewall rules at this stage. And when we hit next, we'll see a basic summary of what we did, like in any the other wizards. So this will basically stretch our database to the Azure directly. But we already have another database that's stretched, so I'll just cancel out this and go to the other database, which is this hospital database. And as you see, I have multiple tables here. And all I need to do is basically go to, again, same stretch menu, but this time I'll click on the reconfigure and hit next on the wizard. And as you see, I have some databases or tables stretched, and this table is not stretched yet. So I'll just go ahead and select that table to start the stretching to the Azure. When we hit next, again, a quick validation on if it's available for stretch and finish. Now, SQL is basically going back and configuring everything on that table and start stretching the database to the Azure. And we can see that by quickly running this query to see if we have any activity going on that side. So let's see. Yeah, it seems like there's an activity going on. And the queries that you'll be running against the stretch database, again, will be exactly the same queries. You don't have to change the queries. And as you can see, it will just show you the results right away without, any special or without any changes. The only thing you'll notice is if the table is stretched to the Azure, you'll see this remote query part in your query, right? And since it's coming from cloud, of course, that will add a little bit latency, but that's more than acceptable for the historical type of data. So again, without changing anything on the application side, we were able to stretch the table to the Azure. So our hot data will remain on premises, on our fast storage, on our fast systems, and the historical data will be in the Azure, but still live queryable with applications. Again, if you don't have access to your application code, you don't have to worry about it. It's all happening at the SQL level, and there's no application change needed. Another hybrid scenario is, of course, the backup. We can leverage Azure Backup as a backup destination right within the SQL Server Management Studio without any need of a third-party application. And cool part is, in case you want to restore to an earlier point in time, or if there's a disaster in your data center, you can always restore your databases to the SQL Server in an Azure virtual machine. So that's I think that's a very, very good scenario, especially again for those disaster scenarios and also test scenarios. And also, you have the options, right? We're not saying that we want to take everybody to the cloud, and the cloud is the only option, and you have to move there. Rather, we want to ensure that we deliver that great experience from on-premises to hybrid cloud and to cloud only if you choose. The point is, you decide what is best for your environment, your applications, or your workloads, and you'll be able to deliver it without having to rewrite your application or learn new development tools or new development language or new management tools. The SQL Server Management Studio, as an example, will be able to manage all that hybrid capability or your databases in the Azure without any problems, right? You'll be using whatever you're using right now. And only Microsoft can offer this consistent experience across identity, virtualization, management, and DevOps. We have got all the tools that you use, and we can ensure that we deliver that great experience no matter where you choose to deploy. And again, only Microsoft can deliver our customers, a consistent experience from on-premises to cloud, and that's our goal. And here is a quick chart. I know it's an eye chart, but SQL Server has come a long way over the last several years when you look at the major innovations that we have been adding in a range of different areas. And this chart is, I think, showing you what you're missing if you decide to stay on the previous versions. And I saw from the polling results, we still have a lot of people on the earlier versions, especially around 2005, 2008 versions. So these new features I'm talking about today and many more are not available in any of those versions. So that's what you're missing if you stay in the previous versions. And of course, when you upgrade to the latest version of the SQL Server, you're just getting the faster application performance right out of the box, and less downtime, better security, and as well as business intelligence and advanced analytics, and all the new great features of SQL Server 2016. And as you look into the cloud, the SQL Server 2016 has also made a lot of improvements and added a lot of new capabilities to make your cloud journey as easy as possible. So another poll question here, really quick. How likely is your organization to buy or upgrade to your SQL Server within the next 6 months? I'll give 20 seconds here for everyone to maybe another 5 seconds. Awesome. Thank you so much. And finally, I have some resources for you to use during your migration process. You may not be sure where to start, but we have free tools to help you at each stage, from discovery to targeting to upgrading. All these tools are basically free. You can download them from the Microsoft website and use it for free. For example, on the discovery stage, we have the map toolkit that allows you to find out your databases, allows you to run readiness reports, and it will give you a nice overview of what you have. And then we have different tools to be able to basically target your new environment, or you can decide on basically where you want to go. And then we have the upgrade advisors to help you with your migration to or upgrade to the new version of the SQL Server or the Windows Server. Because these tools are supporting multiple Microsoft products. They're not necessarily just designed for SQL Server. For example, Map Toolkit will help you with your client upgrade process as well. Of course, the SQL Server upgrade guides or the upgrade advisors are specific to the SQL Server advisor. SQL Server 2016. And we also have a tool called the Azure SQL Database Migration Wizard. So if you have any databases that you want to migrate to the Azure Platform as a Service option, you'll be able to use that migration wizard, and you'll be able to leverage the Azure Platform as a Service SQL database offering. And finally, I have a free SQL Server 2016 ebook. If you'd like to learn more about the latest capabilities and how to implement them, you can download the ebook from this link. You can also use our TechNet Virtual Labs to test out SQL Server 2016, or you can download the evaluation copy, and you'll have the full capabilities in your fingertips. With that, I'd like to thank everyone so much again for joining us today, and I'll pass it back to you now.
Thank you so much, Onur, and thanks to everyone for sticking through, and great demonstrations there, Onur, of the Stretch database and other offerings in your discussion today. So just as a reminder, we want to make sure that you're aware of our next webcast. If you enjoyed this one and you want to continue your learning journey, we have Windows Server 2016, the fast lane to the cloud, as our next available webinar for you. You'll see the time there is going to be on September 22nd at 10 a.m. Pacific time, and the information will be available for registration in the follow-up message that you'll receive. One more thing to keep in mind, that you could still be a winner of that Lenovo product laptop that we're giving away. We'll notify you after today, and look for the link in case you missed something or you want to revisit the information that Onur had provided to you today. The link will be available in the follow-up email that Jane will be sending after our presentation. So one final question: how did you enjoy the webcast? We've got a best rating of 5 and on down, so feel free to make your choice there. And we thank you so much for spending the time with us today, and to all of our team that has been graciously donating their time and making sure to answer your questions as best that they can. A big thank you to them and to all of you for being so engaged today. Have a great day, everyone.